Coming up in our weekly Small Business Spotlight, we're going to take a look at a startup that aspires to be the biggest Vietnamese coffee company in the U.S. This is Quick Take the Lead. Most of us can't live without our daily cup of coffee. Few of us, though, put much thought into where these beans are from. Africa, maybe Central America? Our next guest says it's time for a new wave of coffee culture, this time from Southeast Asia. Sahra Nguyen is founder and CEO of Nguyen Coffee Supply, a Vietnamese coffee brand. Sahra, welcome to Quick Take. You began this startup with a very specific mission, one that's fairly similar to your former job as a journalist. So briefly explain to us what your mission is.
Yeah, our mission, Scarlet, is to transform the coffee industry through diversity, inclusion, sustainability, and equity. Prior to starting the company, I spent 6 years as a freelance documentary filmmaker and journalist, where my whole mission was to increase representation on the screen and through media. And when I discovered that Vietnam is actually the second largest producer of coffee in the world, but I didn't know that, I realized that that was due to lack of transparency and visibility. And so hence I started Nguyen Coffee Supply to change that.
I love that. And just going back to your background, in addition to be a journalist, you majored in ethnic studies at UC Berkeley. You studied with the historian Ron Takaki, and then you went on to produce content for NBC Asian America. How did that influence your thinking on the representation of Vietnamese coffee and the industry, which is pretty much under the radar compared to, say, Colombia or Costa Rica's coffee industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. For us, storytelling is such a strong part of our brand and our mission, right? And for us, the way we're thinking about the future of coffee is not just about the science or the extraction. It is including all of that, but really building a coffee experience that is rooted in cultural integrity, right? Too often we just take the bean away from the country and we really never talk about the people, the communities, or the culture around the bean. So not only are we sharing Vietnamese coffee, the beans, but we also want to share Vietnamese coffee culture, such as the bean brewing method and the bean filter.
Got it, got it. Explain to us how you go about sourcing your beans, because you're based here and the coffee that you're importing, the beans, are from Vietnam. How did you go about finding the right sources?
Yeah, so we have direct trade relationships with farmers across Vietnam. And actually, it was the very first way it started was through a family relationship. Our current producing partner, Unseen, is an old family friend of ours. Both of my parents were refugees from the war. However, most of my extended family, all my aunts and uncles and cousins, still live in Vietnam. So I have a very, very tight and strong network abroad.
Gotcha, gotcha. I've got to bring in, the financial aspect of this and climate change, because we've seen wild weather in Brazil really turn Arabica coffee prices upside down. They've been very volatile of late. And of course, you've got climate change as the big backdrop here, which means Brazil is increasingly turning to Robusta beans, where Vietnam is truly dominant because Robusta is hardier in the heat than Arabica. What does that mean, Sahra, for your company and how you position Vietnamese grown beans?
We are so excited about the future of Robusta. We firmly believe that Vietnamese Robusta is a feature of specialty coffee, but really of sustainable coffee farming in general, right? Because as you mentioned, Robusta beans can be grown in warmer climates, in various altitudes, in various elevations. And because Robusta beans have double the caffeine content of Arabica beans, they have a natural pest repellent. So it grows much more naturally, organically, and robustly.
How about the taste? How does the taste of Robusta beans differ?
Oh, yeah. Quite different from Arabica. So because Robusta beans have double the caffeine content, and they also have 60% less fats and sugars than Arabica, which is going to yield a really bold, dark chocolatey, nutty, and low acidic profile.
They're also cheaper than Arabica as well. So you've been fortunate in that regard that you've been spared a little bit of the headwinds from the pricing in coffee beans. But I want to ask about freight costs, because obviously shipping costs have gone up a lot during the pandemic. How are you managing that expense?
It's horrible. It sucks. There's nothing we can do about it. Freight costs have quadrupled, and it's a really tough time for everyone in the industry, but really any industry that is importing goods abroad. It's extremely tough right now. And so honestly, we just have to sit it through and just hope for it to get better and open up again as soon as possible.
Got it. In our final 30 seconds, Sahra, can you tell us a little bit about your sales strategy? Because most of your sales is direct to consumer, but you do have some retail partners. So what are you planning to do in terms of your retail presence in the coming years?
Yeah, so when we launched as a direct-to-consumer brand, and we're still primarily direct-to-consumer, which has really served us well, honestly, when the pandemic hit. And so we're currently about 16% wholesale, and we are looking to grow our wholesale and retail channel much more, hopefully as things kind of open up again and COVID improves over the following months. Yeah.
Sahra, thank you so much. Sahra is founder and CEO of When Coffee Supply, which is based right here in New York City. Really appreciate it. Do you drink coffee, Maddie? Are you a big coffee fan?
Oh my God, constantly, Scarlet. Now I'm like, I need to try this coffee as soon as possible.
Yeah, well, Vietnamese coffee is often in the U.S. not even made with Robusta beans. It's made with Arabica beans. So when they transition to Robusta beans, it's a totally different flavor. But anyway, that does it for Quick Take this week. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. I'm at Scarlet Fu.
I'm at Madison Mills 22.
And of course, you can find it at Quick Take as well. Have a great weekend.